Hey everybody, welcome to the next set in our set of videos for new gun owners, or maybe those that are just thinking about buying a gun. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm with the Polite Society podcast. Joining me is Amanda Suffolcool from Eye on the Target Radio and Rob Morse of Self Defense Gun Stories. Rob, this video, our topic is Rule 4 of Colonel Cooper's 4 rules. Now that I can talk, what is Rule 4?
Be sure of your target and what's beyond it. There's so much that hides in that. Amanda, you could lecture for hours on that. You could fill pages with it. How do you keep it simple for your students?
Well, the thing is there's almost two levels to it. One is if you're going to the range or if you're creating a range. You need to know how far your gun shoots, and it shoots really, really, really far. So it's not like, oh, if I can just see the fence, I can shoot at the fence, and the neighbors are behind it. You have to shoot at a range with a backstop. Things are designed to stop bullets intentionally, and you have to understand those. But then when you get into self-defense, then it becomes a kind of a decision as to, is the threat so immediate that whatever's beyond it is somewhat secondary, but it's never really secondary because you have to know where every bullet goes. So the first thing is I tell my students to, when you look at it, here's the easy thing. We're creatures of habit. We go to the same places over and over and over again. You will drive past 3 gas stations to go to your gas station. You will drive past 2 grocery stores to go to your grocery store. You know your neighborhood. So if you look at all of your self-defense plans around those places that you habitually go, you've probably got 80% of your self-defense plan in place, having thought it through in advance, and it puts you way ahead of the game. So there's that piece of it. And then just keep in mind that bullet goes really, really far. And I've got a story, but I'll let you guys talk and then I'll come back to the story.
Paul, what do you want to add?
Well, I want to go, this one may run a little bit over 10 minutes because I want to go to the identifying your target.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thank you.
Identifying your target does not mean that I know the bad guy's on the other side of this door, it's okay to shoot through the door. That's not identifying your target. You must know exactly where your bullet is going to hit, and should it go through that target, what's behind the target and could be harmed. That's what I wanted to add in this conversation.
Let's expand it. It may be off topic. Somebody who frightens you is not necessarily a gun problem. An intruder who forms a lethal, immediate, and unavoidable threat to you and your family in your house, that could be a gun problem. Or not. So identify your target. Your drunk neighbor opens the door that you didn't lock, comes in and lays down on your couch. That's not a target. That's a drunk neighbor that's in the wrong house. Oh, a guy comes in with a knife into my house and advances on me when I turn on the lights. I turn on the lights so I can see who it is. I identify, looking at hands, that he has a weapon and he's advancing toward me. Immediate, unavoidable, lethal. Yeah. I want to stop that person. I'm armed. Do I have children or a roommate on the other side of the house? Or fortunately, the guy made enough noise, I had an alarm, everybody's behind me, and I have a house with masonry walls. There's so much to consider, but you're responsible for all of it. I like to say what's around your target. If your kid runs up and he's between you and the bad guy, I can't shoot. Somebody's behind your target. You're out in public. The target, the bad guy, is right next to your wife. Do you shoot or not? I don't know. But don't blindly shoot. You have to make a judgment. Amanda, Paul, what would you add or take away?
you have to actually decide that shooting is the better choice and that not shooting is a worse option. It really is being where you're forced to shoot. It shouldn't be your first choice. It should be your absolute last choice. But we're talking about target and beyond. I want to tell you a story because here's one of my dad told me this when he was a kid, is that he was around guns in the time when they had 22 shorts. And so they let the kids play with BB guns and 22 shorts. And so they would shoot, and they would shoot at things and at the barn and all of that. And then my uncle came home from the war and he brought home a Luger 9mm. And they let the kids play with it. And the kids shot the barn the same way they shot the barn with the 22 short. Until my grandfather went in the barn and found out that the car that was parked inside the barn now had holes all over it. Because what one bullet wouldn't go through, another one would. And so the family was not real happy with what the car looked like.
Can I add to that? I took
Yeah.
a relatively new shooter to an IDPA event.
Mm-hmm.
She's not very tall. She's moving around a range, shooting at cardboard targets. And we looked at the target. It was full of wood splinters. She'd lined up her sights and shot the target. Just below the muzzle of her gun was a wooden fence post, which she shot right through, a wooden 4x4. The things that you might think would stop a bullet, as Amanda said, might not.
Mm-hmm. And so having that understanding and building that knowledge is going to also hold you in good stead as a gun owner.
Yes. And I want to, this is a little bit deeper, and we'll have to get into it another video, but we also get into types of ammunition. A 9mm
Yep.
with a full metal jacket is going to go through a whole lot of stuff. 9mm with jacketed hollow point is going to stop shorter in most circumstances.
Right.
It comes, and we'll get into in another video. We'll get into full metal jacket, hollow point, frangible. We'll get into that whole thing in another video. But we don't have time. The time we have left in this one.
No.
But you do need to be aware of the ammunition that's in your firearm as well. So, your target and what lies beyond it. Any other things we need to add to this one? We got about 2 minutes before we hit 10 minutes.
No, I think,
We're-
Rob?
Another thing we're going to come back to is the legal use of lethal force. Identifying
That
your
gets-
target.
That gets
Can you
way,
shoot her?
way, way deeper. It really does.
We
And
don't have 2 minutes. We just have to say, hi, there's this other 3 lectures we're going to get to that we haven't covered yet.
the beauty of these, I think, is the fact that they can kind of pick and choose through them, and they're small enough that you can kind of pick up a thing, get some information out of it, and then move on. But hopefully, we keep doing these in however you get the instructors to be involved, with the intent to give these little snippets of whatever. But one of the snippets in all of them should be, once you're out of quarantine, once we're allowed to be interactive with one another again, that you reach out and you find a gun owner that is knowledgeable, you find an instructor, or you go back to the gun shop and you ask. But if you are forced to use your gun in self-defense, you're going to wish that you took an entire college course on when to shoot and when not to shoot, not a 1 hour, or in this case, a 5-minute video.
Or 9 minutes, 30 seconds, as the case may be.
Who's
I
counting?
think we're going to go ahead and set this one aside and stay tuned for our next video. We have not yet decided the topic, but we will in the next few minutes. Thanks for watching, everybody.